Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to begin this evening's board meeting. And I will tell you I'm dressed in African attire because it is Black History Month, and you'll hear more about that from some of our guests. Order of business. The school board meeting of February 12th, 2019 is now called to order. The time is 5:59. At this time, we request that all electronic devices be put in silent mode. Also, we ask that you please refrain from using flash photography, except during special presentations like these lovely students. The agenda can also be found on the district's website, which is www.leeschools.net. Navigate to the Leadership tab, choose School Board, and then Meetings. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest potential, personal potential, and the district's vision to be a world-class school system. Prior to the start of this evening's board meeting, we've been enjoying the North Fort Myers High School Symphony Orchestra under the direction of Ms. Nadia Bangish. Is Ms. Bangish right there? Thank you so much. The orchestra has been preparing for a music performance assessment this past month and will be performing pieces that take you on a trip through outer space. Their first piece was From the Planets, Suite for Large Orchestra by Gustav Holst, called Jupiter and the Bringer of Joy. This piece depicts the site of the biggest gaseous planet in our galaxy. Next, they perform Stargazer, and just like its name, is a piece about the sight of stars. Lastly, they perform Turbulence. Whether it is on a plane or in a space shuttle, they will take you on a journey of flight. At this time, the Fort Myers Symphony Orchestra will perform one more time. Thank you. At this time, we will take a brief pause so that they can clear the performance area. So we'll just take a moment. And thank you so much. You all were wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Good.
Really good.
That last song, do you know the movie Game of Thrones?
Yes.
I love that movie. It
Yes.
reminds
Do we have, okay. This evening's student representative from the School Board Student Advisory Committee is Ramona Baker, with a big smile down there waving at you. She's an 11th grader at Mariner High School. While growing up in Rochester, New York, she was a part of an award-winning competitive dance team. Since moving to Florida 6 years ago, Ramona has been actively involved in theater and is currently vice president of the International Thespian Honor Society Troupe 4191. She is also a 3-year varsity bowler. Ramona takes coursework at the Vet Academy at Mariner and hopes to someday work in conservation with exotic animals. She plans on attending St. Petersburg College to study veterinary nursing, and in her spare time, Ramona enjoys writing, reading, singing, and dancing. She lives in Cape Coral with her parents, her brother, grandma, 3 dogs, and 3 fish. Welcome, Ramona. This evening's agenda includes the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, 1 acknowledgement, 1 recognition, public comment, consent items, which include 2 items in executive services, 1 in academic services, 2 in business services, 2 under human resources, 3 items in information systems, 14 items under operations, as well as 6 items for public hearing, and 4 items under other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move.
Okay, Ms. Vaughn and Ms. Fisher. Please record your vote. It's up there. There it is. And motion carries 7-0. Ms. Giovanelli will deliver the invocation, after which Ms. Vaughn will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise for the invocation.
Will you all bow your head as I pray? Dear wise and loving Father, first let us say thank you on the behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for the life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in a useful work and for the honoring of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well as for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures, you have said that the citizens owe to obey the governing authorities, and since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice, therefore I pray for the superintendent and his staff. I pray for this board and govern and lead with a loving heart. I am asking for you would graciously grant us wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and the issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true need of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace and their lives, and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before us today. Please give us an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit our students and our staff across the district. It is in your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
The cadet presenting the national colors tonight will be introduced by Lieutenant Colonel Gordon Crawford, Senior Army Instructor of the JROTC program at East Lee County High School. Lieutenant Colonel Crawford entered the Army in 1991 and has served combat tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. He retired from active duty in 2016 after completing 25 years of service. And thank you, Lieutenant Colonel, for your service to our country.
Thank you. The national colors for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight are presented by Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Theodore Simile of East Lee Senior High School JRTC Jaguar Brigade. Cadet Simile maintains a 3.3 GPA and serves as the East Lee Deputy Brigade Commander. Upon graduation, Cadet Simile plans to enlist in the U.S. Navy to be a damage controlman. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this time, our student representative, Ramona Baker, will present the character education word and design for February.
The character word for February is honesty, being truthful and trustworthy, free from deception. The quote is, "Honesty is the fastest way to prevent a mistake from turning into failure," by James Altucher. Oh, I'm saying that right. Okay. The design you see on the display on. Okay. The design you see displayed on the screen was created by Grace Galb, a 9th grade student at Estero High School.
Okay. Now we will have, thank you, and our recognitions. Take Stock in Children Mentor of the Year will be presented by Mary Fisher. At this time, we'll take a,
Not yet.
oh, sorry. So we'll do the recognitions and then we'll take the break.
Get Ramona. Good evening. I'd like to invite Mrs. Cheryl Verhulst, Mentor Coordinator of the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, as well as Ms. Kathleen Anderson, Ms. Christy Marshall, and Ms. Diane Meyer to please join me at the lectern. Unfortunately, Mr. Marshall Bauer, President and CEO of the Foundation, is unable to be with us tonight. Welcome. Take Stock in Children is a locally implemented scholarship program in the state of Florida that targets low-income, at-risk students in the Lee County Public Schools. Every day, local community members volunteer time to provide a consistent, supportive, and guiding hand to our young people. Community members give generously of themselves and demonstrate their strong commitment to quality education in the school district of Lee County. One promise of the program is to match students with a caring adult mentor. Kathleen Anderson, Christy Marshall, and Diane Meyer are examples of such mentors. Mentors vigilantly dedicate their time to enhancing and enriching the education of Take Stock and children scholars, enabling them to reach high school graduation and to begin college. We are proud to honor them for their service to our community. In collaboration with the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, the school board and the superintendent are pleased to recognize Kathleen, Christy, and Diane for their dedication and commitment to the students of Lee County. Welcome. Would you like to say something?
Doesn't matter how small the crowd is, I'm always terrified, so bear with me. But every year in around October, we ask all of our students to let us know whether or not they think their mentor deserves to be recognized Mentor of the Year. We do this for our Take Stock and children's scholars and for our STAMP students as well. One thing that stood out within all of the nominations was how these mentors really show that they care. For Diane Meyer, it was that she transferred counties with her student. When her student was relocated to our county, she said, I can't part from her, I'm gonna go here with her. And her mentee also commented on the focus and advice she's giving her for preparing for her future. For Christy Marshall, her two STAMP students acknowledged the appreciation they have for her for coming up with creative activities that she does with them and arranging a college tour for them. And for Kathleen not you, for Kathleen Anderson, it was just the emotional support and that she's just a safe person whose wisdom she really trusts, and that just speaks volumes, I think, for the benefits that mentors provide our students. So thank you, ladies, for everything that you do for our students.
At this time, we will take a brief recess so that those that wish to leave that were here for the performances may do so. We'll move on to our next section, which is public comment. Excuse me, public comment. Mr. Dodig, please address the agenda item of public comment.
Sure. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a card and submitted it before the meeting began, you will be called in the order of the cards submitted. If you did not submit a card but still wish to address the board this evening, Ms. Gittens, the board chair, will give you an opportunity in a moment to express that desire. The rules concerning public comment are posted at the back of the room. Speakers and those attending the meeting are expected to act in a respectful manner. Attacks on individuals or abusive comments are prohibited. Time per speaker is 3 minutes. Madam Chair, I have 9 cards.
Thank you. We offer an opportunity to those who are unfamiliar with public comment to raise their hand and provide their names if they did not get a blue card. The blue card is a public record identifying those who speak and providing contact information to staff for follow-up. If you did not complete a blue public comment card, you can please proceed or you can pick one up. Is there anyone on my left side that did not get a card that would like to speak? On my right?
Hold on. There's one.
There is one? I'm sorry. Okay.
I apologize, I got here too late.
That's okay. Okay. Charla Fox. And then she will complete the card when she's done. Okay, thank you. And
Was there anybody on this side? I don't know.
there was no one over
Okay.
here, I don't think. Did I miss anyone? Okay. You may begin.
Thank you. First speaker is Louis Navarro.
Good evening, Dr. Atkins, board members, Lou Navarra, teacher, retired teacher, 47-year resident of Lee County. I want to address the half-a-cent sales tax issue again. Last meeting, you ignored me. You never said in any of your presentations, advertisement, and signs that it was a 7% tax on odd dollars as we round up to 7%. I want to know where the money is going, and I want my half-a-cent share back. I am paying tax in good faith. You need to be ethical. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Give to God what is God's. Also, I've had a small ethical issue about the ballot. It said yes or no, but that was not your fault. Obviously, that was the supervisor of elections, and they didn't exactly tell me the truth. So, I feel these inconsistencies warrant looking into as an ethic complaint, especially about the half-a-cent sales tax, which was never explained to us, and this ballot language. I'd like to address the rash of student arrests and threats and zero tolerance. I have great concern about arresting 15 and 16-year-olds, placing their pictures in the paper, and then arresting 11-year-old as well as charging them with felonies and ruining their lives. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. You never made mistakes when you were young? I made plenty. I sure did. And I'm probably making one right now, trying to talk. You are treating the symptoms, not the cure. Arrest the parents if you got to do something. They're under their control. Do you think arresting will stop the shootings? Look at the former Mariner student. That didn't stop the Parkland shooting. Remember, she had a knife and she was disgraced, the poor girl. What happened to the school board policy of immediate ALC on the first threat, expulsion on the second threat, and then arrest on the final threat? I was working at ALC as a sub. The student threatened us. He should have been expelled, but Mr. DD fired me instead. Point, follow the policies. Okay? Why did the kids hate school or do not like school? High tests. It's no fun. No creativity. So I guess they get bored and call in threats, which is wrong. I'm not, saying it's right. The media has found everyone guilty till proven innocent. I didn't appreciate that when I was found like that. Is this like the Nazis and Gestapo? Wasn't that called the Holocaust? Where's our First and 14th Amendment rights for our children? Thank you. I left you guys a gift book this time tonight. You can doodle when you get tired of my rhetoric next meeting. Good night.
Liz Olanson.
Good evening, Dr. Atkins and school board members. My name is Liz Olanson. I am the art teacher at Gulf Elementary School, K1 and 2, and my colleague Jody Holland, she teaches 3, 4, and 5. She was unable to attend tonight because she had hand surgery this morning, so she's home recuperating. When I was asked to give a few exhilarating examples of what our students do at Gulf Elementary School, I was excited because we do a lot, and I'm very proud of that. It is exhausting, but I am very proud. We do the Pride of Patriotism, which is the county-wide. I had a third-place winner, one of my second graders. We do the Estero Art Show in November and January. I've had numerous winners as well. First place, second, and third. I've had kindergartners win $50 and huge ribbons that are as big as they are, $100, so I'm very proud of them as well. We also work with the Golisano Children's Hospital. The young artists create lovely stationery for the children to use when writing thank you cards to their healthcare providers. We also work with Bootstrap Ministries for the homeless. The young artists create stationery and holiday cards for the homeless guests. This year was the first year that they had the Kiwanis Art Contest, which I participated, and I had 3 honorable mentions. We do Square One fundraiser. It's where the children create beautiful artwork, and then I send it off, and then the parents could purchase them online on necklaces, on mugs, on hats, and so they have a keepsake. I've done it for my girls, eons ago, and I still have them, so it's something that they can keep for a long time. That's K1 and 2, and then we also do Artsonia in grades 3, 4, and 5, and 5th grade, the license plates. We also participated in the Art on the Parkway in Cape Coral, and I had 2nd and 3rd place winners this year, my 1st and 2nd graders, so I'm very proud. We also participate in the Lee County Fair and the Children's Environmental Art Contest, Save the Bees, which we are currently working in watercolors and acrylic. We're also, my students also exhibit the artwork at Cape Library for the entire month of June. I put it up and take it down, so I have to plan my vacation around the time the artwork goes up and it comes down. We're also working on the RSW Airport. It's a airport project, which is a 30 by 40 painting, and the theme is Everything Wild, the Everglades, and that will be displayed at the airport for an entire year. And I've done this in the past, and it's wonderful. The children just love it, and it is a collaborative project with my art club in the morning. They come twice a week before school. I get to school around 7:10. They come like 7:15, 7:30. It's like, you don't have to be here that early, but they do. They come. We also participate in the Alliance for the Arts and the Children's Tree Trail at the Edison Home, the Burrowing Owls Project, Lee County Leave the Scene Clean Art Contest, Relay for Life. I just had 500 rocks delivered on Friday.
Ms. Lanson, your time's up. Welcome. Carmen McClary.
No, you can't yield your time to another person, ma'am. Yeah.
She won't be speaking. So I'm going to try to read as fast as I can. Okay? Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, fell in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way where tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last where the white gleam of our bright stars cast. The aforementioned words are taken from the 2nd stanza of Lift Every Voice and Sing, commonly known as the Black National Anthem, after its composition in 1900 by Floridian James Weldon Johnson. The lyrics of this robust and crescendoing anthem were penned as literary canonization of the struggle and heritage of the African American experience. Lift Every Voice and Sing takes on a resonating meaning during the month of February as communities across this nation pause to honor the contributions and legacy of the African American experience. The essence and tribute behind this song still rings true today, over 119 years after its composition, out from the gloomy past. Till now, we stand where the white gleam of our bright stars cast. I stand before you this evening to acknowledge this February as Black Heritage History Month and celebrate the importance of education. Education remains the key to unlock the brilliance and hopeful potential of the next generation. Our children represent the gleam of the bright star mentioned in Lift Every Voice and Sing and give us a sense of hopeful future. I stand before you this evening acknowledging February's Black History Month and celebrate the role of educators, their matchless drive to educate our bright stars, notable educators such as Dr. Shirley Chapman, Dr. Charles Daly, Dr. Carrie D. Robinson, and Ida S. Baker, just to name a few. I stand before you this evening to acknowledge February as Black History Month and celebrate the historic election of Mrs. Gwinnetta S. Giddens as the first African American member of this honored body. Her historic election culminates the work of many who came before her and represents the hope of those who will come after. I stand before you this evening to acknowledge February as Black History Month and leave you with the words of honored educator Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. The world around us really belongs to youth, for youth will take over its future management. Our children must never lose their zeal for building a better world. They must not be discouraged from aspiring toward great.
Thank you. Almost perfect. So Ms. Fitzpatrick doesn't want to speak, is that? Right. Okay. All right. Shay Sutherland. You can go over there.
Good evening. My name is Shay Sutherland, and this is my second year of teaching ever. Many teachers have a disheartening feeling about the executives receiving 20% raises, while money was not set aside for teachers. The teachers who are here tonight only represent a fraction of the teachers in this county. I asked 20 teachers in Lee County that could not be here tonight due to second jobs, family things, and lesson planning to tell me their biggest teaching frustration besides no raises in 3 words or less. These are their responses: not enough resources, underappreciated and undervalued, old school teachers, standardized testing, primary is overlooked, lack of support, never-ending lists, continually changing requirements, never good enough, no family time, apathetic parents, teachers' needs second, student misbehaviors, lack of respect, underfunded mental support, poor administration, and lack of consistency. If you are unaware of any or all of these things, I encourage you to follow in my footsteps for a day or two. Even with all of these negative things, teachers are showing up every day. Teachers who spend hours outside of their contract time to ensure they are doing everything in their power to change their student lives. But why? Why do they show up despite all of these things? And you guessed it, I asked. For the aha moments, to build relationships, the excitement of discovery, being the change, students' outcome and growth, being passionate about learning, because student lives matter, influencing the next generation, and to give hope. Every school, every student, every day. Saying this district is lucky is an understatement. You cannot undo the raises that were given to executives, but you still have the opportunity to give the teachers one. We have amazing teachers, and it's time to start treating them so. Thank you.
Mina Sokeris-Dagling.
Good evening, Honorable School Board, Dr. Atkins. My name is Mina Sokeris-Dagling, and I am a Cuban-American educator, and I want to congratulate for Black History Month and diversity, because we need that. I have been an educator since 1988, starting in Miami-Dade County. And I have been here since 2005. Currently, I teach Spanish at the Sanibel School. The best thing about me, I love that, honesty. The best thing about me is honesty, and the worst thing about me is honesty. It's gotten me into trouble. But nevertheless, honesty is the best policy in any situation. I'm a proud member of TALC, the Teacher Association of Lee County. And here in Lee County, Florida. And speaking of Florida, we in Lee County, being the 9th largest school district in Florida, are in a tug of war over our teaching contracts. I tell my fellow TALC members, as well as teachers who do not belong to TALC, as well as all of you, to read our contract. Our contract is our job, and our job is our life force, and the force is with us. Being a teacher is amazing, but for some teachers, living from paycheck to paycheck is amazingly difficult. Being a teacher with engaging students is a dream. Being a teacher without a quality paycheck is a nightmare. We're in unison to build up our students. And the students are what matters. But without teachers, they can't learn. Finally, safety. We are all concerned about the threats, the rumors, and how to handle them. May God guide us for the right answers. Safety first, all for the students. That is why our honorable Lee County teachers matter. Yes, we matter. Thank you.
Jacqueline Perez.
Point of order, Madam Chair. We generally don't allow applauding during action meetings.
Go ahead, Ms. Perez.
Okay. Good evening, Board. I'm here this evening in support of the employees here today and of other employees who are still too fearful to come forward. The superintendent has proven to be incapable of handling investigations. In regards to investigations that were conducted previously in October and April, those investigations did not follow guidelines or recommendations as per DOE. Here I have DOE recommendations for investigations that I want entered into the record. Every employee has a right to have an advocate speak on their behalf, and many emails have been sent to the district and no response or action has been taken to assist them, and this is their last resort. I want to remind you all as a board, you have authority over the superintendent. The refusal to help parents, students, and employees when they're being bullied and harassed, and when investigations are manipulated for a desired outcome, and when complaints are ignored, is not having anyone's best interest at heart. It is your responsibility to make sure that the superintendent is performing his duties according to state statutes. And I'm going to enter a complaint from an employee that is here who is afraid to speak, and I'll quickly read his one complaint. I'm a maintenance employee for approximately 13 years. I'm requesting whistleblower protection, and I'm making this an official complaint. I have been subjected to extreme discrimination and have witnessed illegal activities, or at least what I believe to be illegal activities. I have never been questioned for any past investigations, although it was said in another meeting that the maintenance was investigated, and not one employee that I know was questioned about all the wrongdoing. The environment at the maintenance department has been this way for many years. The discrimination is unfair treatment along all other things that rob from the district and taxpayers. This needs to be looked at. Thank you. Mr. Moreno. I have a copy of the complaint for each of the board members, too.
Hand him to Ms. Johnson.
I can leave that all here?
Ms. Johnson, yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Here.
Carlos Briones.
Good evening, everybody. I've been an employee of the school district since January 11, 2013. Of April of the same year, I transferred from Island Coast High School, where I was working as a site worker, to maintenance. First of all, I'm requesting a whistleblower protection, Bill of Rights. I'm practicing freedom of speech. I would like to file a grievance complaint against the Grounds Department Supervisor Jeffrey Avron for favoritism, discrimination, and other. Under the equal rights, I would like to raise my voice against the concerned person for violating the law, always choosing Caucasian employee over me to fill a higher position with a better pay position that I fill. And I fill all the requirements to have that position. I've been an employee of the month years before. I have worked hard. I will have working efficient employee of Lee County School District. I have applied for the same position years before, and he always speaks Caucasians employed with less seniority because supposedly they have more experience than I do, when they do not. He and the person who are in charge of hiring process constantly pick and promote their favorites, no matter who has more seniority or if they meet all the requirements to fill the position. For example, high school diplomas, associates, master. This is my complaint. I'm requesting it should look at it. Thank you.
Kevin Daly?
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Atkins. I'm Kevin Daly. I'm the president of the Teachers Association of Lee County, and I'm standing up here tonight to, in support of my teachers, members and non-members, in our contract negotiations. Just a few things to share in story, kind of. Before the recession, Florida ranked 30th in teacher pay. After the recession, we have slid to 45th nationwide in teacher pay. I realize that's not all your fault, because on top of that, Tallahassee is funding Florida at the 40th percentile. It's 40th in funding, so the money from Tallahassee is not coming down to us. Also, the Department of Education projects a shortage of 10,000 teachers at the end of this school year. That's up from 4,000 at the start of the school year. So I think when we talk about recruitment and retention, we need to look at the effect that salaries have on that and a livable wage for not only the teachers in Lee County, but also the support people in Lee County as well. I'd like to consider increasing the board amount for raises this year, so we can try to put some money in people's pockets this year. It may hurt a little bit in the short term, but I think it'll go a long way in speaking to making the teachers feel like valued employees. Thanks.
I'm sorry, we have to hold a
Ms. Fox? You're next.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Atkins. Charla Fox. I am a proud teacher of Lee County. I'm also a proud resident of Lee County my entire life. I am a product of the school system here. I know all of you. I know how hard you work for us, but I want to make sure that you know that your teachers are really feeling the crunch. Okay, I hear from so many teachers on a regular and ongoing basis. It's the challenge of living on what we make, and it is getting worse. Kevin Daly did a good job of bringing forward the information about what has been happening, and I know you all are working towards that, but right now our teachers are not feeling supported or appreciated. And I hate to say, but money makes a difference. If you cannot meet your mortgage, if you cannot make those payments you need to, if you can't take your child to the doctor, those are all things that our teachers are feeling. These are all conversations I have been having with the teachers in my building and in many buildings. They bring this forward because many teachers have a challenge presenting their voice. You know that as well as I do. And so we ask that you show them your appreciation of them and do everything that you can to make sure that you are financially supporting them this year and in the years to come. We are together in what we are trying to make happen, in trying to get to Tallahassee to make Tallahassee do what it needs to do. We've talked with the superintendent, and we know that he is there. We know you are there. But we need to show all the teachers that you are there. It will make a difference. Thank you.
Can you hold your applause?
That's all the speakers this evening.
Can I ask a question of the attorney?
Yes.
Go ahead. So if I may ask two questions of you. The first is the word whistleblower has very specific legal implications. So if you could advise us with regard to any response we should or should not give And also, if you could advise us again with regard to what occurs in our responsibilities surrounding executive session with
Okay.
teacher pay and
Oh,
that kind
okay,
of thing.
okay.
Discussions that take place
All
there.
right, first of all, regarding the whistleblower, there's a specific statute, 112.313, Florida statutes, which the individual complainant, this gentleman who stepped forward today, has essentially reported something to the chief of the organization, the superintendent, and therefore any unlawful reprisal towards him is a violation of that law. So I would ask Mr. Williams to give the superintendent advice regarding that. The board is not an entity that can be informed of that and provide that protection, because you can't remedy the problem. The superintendent and his staff can remedy the problem. So that's essentially a summation of the Whistleblower Act relative to the school board. The other issue, remind me?
Executive session.
Okay, executive session. Any information that's provided in executive session is, the sessions are obviously closed. So any information that is used outside of that session, you have an obligation under the Public Officers Law to keep that information confidential under the ethics law. Any materials passed out during that session are also, in essence, work product that is not public. So that is, in essence, the spirit of the session being closed, or we call it executive session, but it's actually a closed collective bargaining conversation with the superintendent and his team. And so the information that's provided in there is, for that reason, confidential.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Mr. Navarro is still here. Thank you for your comments, sir. And I just want you to know that all of us went, all but one, I think, went to finance training this week with FSBA, Florida School Board Association, and the question about the half-cent tax did come up. And I personally don't know a definitive answer. Would you say that, Ms. Patrica, because you were there about?
It's my understanding that the extra half cent goes into the general fund, so I believe that Mr. Navarro's question is better directed at the State Department of Revenue.
And that's what we had heard. The issue is, we don't get it. They're not going to give us an extra half cent, unfortunately. So the state is who collects it, and then they send us our portion. So perhaps contacting someone at the state office to find out exactly in details. I don't have it. I don't know, Superintendent, is there anyone else that has that information that could at this time?
Not at this time, ma'am.
And if we find out anything else, we have your card, and we'll let you know who to contact and how to get to that information. Liz Olison, is Liz still here?
She's here.
Olison? Okay, thank you. You are just filled with joy and art. I mean, it's just wonderful. When do you sleep? I mean, oh, you must, because you're doing so many things. And I just can't say on behalf of the board and all of us, thank you for all that you do. You are just a shining star in our galaxy here in Lee County, and we just thank you so much for what you do. And having been a high school teacher, when it all will come back to you is when one of those little ones is graduated, they come back with their child, then you think, oh wow, look what I did.
She's had that.
See, we're not going to talk about that. Okay, thank you so much, though. That was awesome. And the next time I go to the airport, I'll definitely look for the drawings. Ms. McCleary, on Black History Month, thank you so much for doing that. And if I may, there are several people that came dressed in African gear for Black History Month. Would you please just stand? and thank you very much for coming. It's a very important thing, and it's important to me and to the community that we are representing our minorities in our district, and thank you so much. Shay Sutherland? Where is Shay? Okay, all right. A second-year teacher, and thank you so much for teaching. And we realized with Shay and a couple of other teachers that spoke, and also Charla and Kevin that talked about our teachers. One of the reasons that I'm sitting here is the empathy that I have for teachers because I was a teacher. I have worked 80 hours on schoolwork and also worked a second job, and I know that it's difficult. We can't promise you, I know I can't, the board can't. We are working with the staff and the superintendent to see how we can help your situation. And I remember someone saying, I think it was Dr. Browder that made a statement once, that making changes sometimes in an organization this large is like moving a battleship, and it's an inch at a time. I know that you feel the crunch and you would like to hear an answer tonight. If I could reach into my purse and write you a check, I would. But we have to go through procedures and processes, and hopefully in the near future we'll be able to talk to you and deal with some of your needs. Okay. Would you like to say anything else, Superintendent, about that, the teachers' issue?
Well, just a couple things, and first of all, you know, I think we are bargaining right now. I think we're bargaining in good faith. We use the interest-based process, and I think that's critical to the success, particularly when you're dealing with a very difficult situation. One of the things that is making this so much more challenging is the fact that over the past 3 years, we've received less than 1.5% increase from the state in terms of revenue, yet we have endeavored to try to increase our salary schedules 3% every year, despite the lack of funding from the state. And this year, because of the impact of Hurricane Irma the prior year, in addition to the categorical funding that was a result of Parkland last year, dollars that potentially could have come to us as general fund dollars that could have been put toward compensation were reduced and directed toward categorical funding. Important for safety and security, but were dollars that we could not funnel toward compensation. So in anticipation of that, what we are doing as a school district is we started working on our budget early this year, literally 6 months early, so that we could put forth our best effort, and you watch things such as coming down of the fund balance has steadily come down. In addition to that, we've done reductions in the district office for next year in anticipation. Also have to reduce services, and then we have to look at staffing levels at our schools, all in an effort to try to increase the percentage of our budget to put toward compensation. We have gone from the 40th percentile in the state of Florida to the 55th percentile, and our goal is to get to the 75th percentile. Now, I did talk to teachers at their last bargaining session. They were very passionate. Their stories are very, very compelling. And having been a teacher, I understand how difficult and how hard the job is. And I know that factors have changed since I was in the classroom versus what they're dealing with this year. It's even much more difficult now with all the requirements that we have. So I think that as a school district, we can continue to work together to put the funds that we need toward our teachers. One of the things that they did tell me down there is when I talk about 40th to 55th percentile to 75th percentile, that doesn't mean anything to me personally. So one of the things that we need to work on is how can we translate that type of speak to something that's meaningful for our teachers. So we continue to look, and I will compliment them. They were very passionate, respectful, well-spoken, and I appreciate that they are engaged in this process. I think moving forward together as educators, speaking in one strong voice, we can make a difference. I think it's when we are divided is where we are at our weakest. So I think they are committed to work with us and work together to improve their compensation. And I think that's something I'm sure this board, you've sent a message to me and our staff that is something that you definitely support.
Okay. And I just echo the sentiments of the superintendent. And one of the things that I know is near and dear to my heart is being as transparent as possible. And that may mean breaking things down so that you understand, you know, what we're talking about. So many times in education, we speak in $50 words and confuse people. And when people are confused, they make up their own scenarios sometimes. But we need to really make sure that we are clear and succinct in what is happening so that all of you can understand what we're doing and be a part of the future. Ms. Perez and Carlos, and I think the attorney discussed already the whistleblower issue, and it would be my hope that no one that is an employee in this district is fearful or afraid, whether they're teachers or maintenance or where they work. It needs to be a place that everyone feels safe to work and safe to speak. I think did I address everyone? I hope I didn't miss anyone. Okay, we'll move on to consent items. Next is the approval of action items in the agenda under consent. And I do want to make a point here. Some people say that all we do is just sit up here and vote on a whole bunch of things and you don't know what they are. They are listed out there at least 7 days beforehand, and we do the vote. And, well, let me say this. We are all charged with reading and checking all of the agenda items as well, and then we can ask questions prior to. And we have briefings prior to those as well. So the documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to the board members 7 days prior to the meeting. We're expected to review all the materials. We have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding recommendations. Some of the items have been also briefed and workshopped and in advance appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any items that you wish to pull for discussion under unfinished or table items portion of the agenda? Ms. Fisher?
None this evening, thank you.
Ms. Juvenelli?
I have none.
Ms. Patrica? Ms. Jordan?
No, thank you.
Ms. Vaughn?
I have none.
And Ms. Morgan? I have none. Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda's consent items with no exceptions? Okay. Ms. Giovanelli moved and Ms. Fisher second.
Thank you.
And please record your vote. And it passes 7-0. Unfinished business, tabled items, I think we have, do you have any pulled items?
I have one introduction to do from the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
No polls.
Okay.
So I'd like to introduce at this time Jenny Edwards, Diplomat Elementary School, teacher to now assistant principal. Congratulations.
Okay, and no attorney's recommendations, public hearing. Before closing the regular meeting and opening the public hearing, Dr. Atkins, will you present any recommendation for this evening's public hearing items?
Yes, Madam Chair, be happy to. First item is approval of the revision of policy 1.16, evaluation of the superintendent and school board attorney to clarify the policy regarding its applicability. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019. Next recommendation is approval of the revision to policy 4.35, Head Start eligibility, recruitment, selection, and enrollment to clarify criteria regarding eligibility of substance abuse as a risk factor and to clarify the number of years of a child's eligibility in the program. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019. Approval, third recommendation, approval of the revision to policy 5.26, professional standards to conform with statutory change. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019. Fourth recommendation, approval of the revision to policy 6.02, school budget system to conform with statutory change. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019. Fifth recommendation, approval of the revision to the 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 exceptional student education ESE policies and procedures, SP&P. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019. Last recommendation is conduct a public hearing to receive comment on the proposed 2019-2020 instructional materials plan.
Okay, at this time, the public will be invited to speak on these 6 items only. The time allowed for a comment is 3 minutes. Is there anyone on my right that would like to speak on any of these issues? On my left? Okay. I will now close the public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of February 12th, 2019. Dr. Atkins, please restate your recommendations for this evening's public hearing items.
Okay, the first recommendation is approval of the revision to policy 1.16, evaluation of the superintendent and the school board attorney to clarify the policy regarding its applicability. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Fisher, seconded by?
Second.
Ms. Morgan. Any discussion? Okay, please record your vote. And motion passes 7-0. Number 2.
Second recommendation, approval of the revision to policy 4.35, Head Start eligibility, recruitment, selection, and enrollment to clarify criteria regarding eligibility of substance abuse as a risk factor and to clarify the number of years of a child's eligibility in the program. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019.
Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Morgan, second. By Ms. Vaughn. Please record your vote. I'm sorry. Any discussion? I forgot. Okay, please record your vote. Motion passes 7-0. Superintendent, number 3.
Okay, next recommendation, approval of the revision to policy 5.26, professional standards to conform with statutory change. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019.
Is there a motion to approve the motion?
So moved.
Ms. Fisher, and seconded Ms. Jordan. That was Ms. Fisher and Ms. Jordan. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, please record your vote. This is the boring part for the audience, sorry. And motion passes 7-0. Number 4.
Fourth recommendation is approval of the revision to policy 6.02, school budget system to conform with statutory change. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, so I'll split it between you, Ms. Fisher and Ms. Vaughn, you'll second?
Sure. Second.
Okay. Ms. Fisher and Ms. Vaughn, any discussion? Please record your vote. As soon as it's up there. We're going to play background music while we do. Where is it? Anyone in the control room? We do not have the vote on the screen. Can we just do it
Hold
by
on.
hand?
Yeah, it's frozen.
No, it's not on our screens. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan, I didn't know it was your fault. And by 7-0, it passes. Number 5.
Fifth recommendation, approval of the revision to the 2018, 2019, and 2020, 2021 Exceptional Student Education ESE Policies and Procedures, SP&P. The effective date of this adoption shall be February 13th, 2019.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Morgan, second. Ms. Jordan, second. Any discussion? Okay. Please record your vote.
That one's fast.
And vote passes 7-0. Superintendent, will you read number 6, please?
Not a recommendation.
Okay, my direction or my script is to read it first time
Just to read
only,
it,
because
yes.
no action is required on the
Yes.
sixth item.
However,
Oh,
well, if
We're
there's
still-
board comment,
okay.
the public hearing already took place, but certainly the board is,
okay, I'll go ahead and read it. Number 6 is conduct a public hearing to receive comment on proposed 2019-20 instructional materials plan. There is nothing to vote on, so we will move on. Correct? Is
I
that-
don't know if any of the board members, if you have any discussion about it, that's up to you.
Is there any, it doesn't tell me discussion here, so yes, ma'am.
Well, and I just wanted to bring, I've actually got my answers from the superintendent, but I just wanted to bring it up for the public that regarding the Common Core and the materials, I had a little reservation over it because of the changes in Common Core and mostly in math was my concern. And when we were at FSBA, I was speaking to some of the other board members up there, and they suggested just to hold off a little bit, but I received information that makes me feel a lot better. So I just wanted to bring that publicly, that the textbooks that they're talking about will adapt to the change if that's what happens. So I feel better. So I just wanted to bring that forward.
All right, very good. Okay, other business. Now we are down to board member comments, and we will begin with Ms. Fisher.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. I just want to welcome and congratulate all of our people who came in regalia to celebrate Black History and Heritage Month, and we appreciate you and your work in our community. I had an opportunity to attend Drug House Odyssey, which celebrated its 25th anniversary and is sponsored by the Coalition for a Drug-Free Southwest Florida, along with our local law enforcement, hospitals, and our school district. And actually, our student representative here tonight was one of the actors in that compelling show, and she'll tell you more about it later. As we approach February 14th and remember the victims of the Parkland Massacre, let's join together to work at providing a safe and caring environment in which our children can learn and grow. And remember, yes, our teachers do matter, and we thank you for all that you do every day to take care of our kids. And we support you, we appreciate you, and we value your service. You are the ones who take care of our students, and that is very important. So that is all I have this evening, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Ms. Giovanelli?
I just want to thank the teachers, and we're here. We do hear you. We truly do, and we do thank you. I know it doesn't seem like it's enough, but we do care. You are on ground zero for me. So you have our children in your hands, and so you mold them. So it's very important. If I could reverse the executive pay, I would. So that's how I feel about it. So, and so thank you. And I just want to make sure that the whistleblower protection is for these people that came forward, and have your support in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Giovanelli. Ms. Patrica?
Monday, March 4th. Isn't that the date I was given? I will be there. Will each of you commit to bringing 20 of your teacher friends with you? I will commit to begging 20 people to come with me as well. 4 of them will be my children. But I do appreciate you. We really need to get over the mindset of an us as an administration against you as teachers and staff. We are in this together. We cannot do this without serious change in Tallahassee. And I'm hoping that this is the beginning of a movement that we can bring up to Tallahassee, because they are most likely to listen to our constituents and their constituents. They're not listening to us. So we need to get people to knock on their doors and call them and show up on street corners and show up in Tallahassee, because you guys deserve better than what you're getting right now. So March 4th, I'll be there.
Thank you, Ms. Patrica. Ms. Jordan?
I just want to reiterate what they have said too. The teachers are definitely our lifeline. I have many, many kids, children, grandkids, and just in the community itself, we could not do it without you, and we really do appreciate you. And then also, Ms. Liz, thank you for what you do with those children. I've had the opportunity for the last couple weekends to share and see what the kids are doing out there in the community. Chalk art, building things out of recyclables. I mean, these kids are just amazing, and we don't always hear all the good things like these students today. And we really need to spread that out. And those kids are the way that they are because of you all, the teachers here. So again, thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Jordan. Ms. Vaughn?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank those of you who came forth this evening, the courage that you had to express your convictions and your concerns about things that might be happening in the classroom or in various departments of the district. I understand that many people fail to come forward because they're afraid for their jobs, and we understand that, and we hope that many more people, if you have concerns, that you find the proper channel to address those concerns. And secondly, regarding the teachers, all of the teachers and TALC members who spoke this evening, probably most of you know that I taught for 38 years, and once you're a teacher, you have it in, it was a career, and it's something that I have always advocated for. And what Ms. Gittin said earlier, you know, it's not in our individual hands. It is what it is in terms of the negotiations. Of course, I hope that everybody gets a raise, but again, that's out of my individual hands. The one thing that I did want to address, though, is something a little bit different from what was said previously. We have heard teachers, and I say we because I'm putting myself back in the day when I was actually a teacher and I taught in this district. Teachers hear a lot of kudos and get a lot of pats on the back, and we appreciate you, and we wish, and we do wish that we could give you a higher salary and better benefits. But you know, there are some things that we can do as a district to, and things that don't cost any money. And I think tops on that list is professional respect for our teachers. And that would include things like giving our teachers, and I hope that this can be done, giving our teachers, whether it's in a contract or just an understanding, input into site-based evidence-based decision-making, real input, not just rubber stamping. With that professional respect, I want to see, I don't want to hear any more people, I mean, if you want, if there's a problem, call, but I really, really feel sad when I have teacher friends and friends old and new that call or talk to me about not having administrative support. And that is something that I think we just need to work on, and it's not going to cost us a penny to do that. So thank you again for all of you who came out, and I'm really happy that Ms. Gittens dressed up in the garb tonight, and thank you for those of you who have come here proudly showing your heritage. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Morgan?
I really can't add a lot to what's already been said. I just hope that you all understand that in my 6 years on the board, I have worked really, really hard to try to recognize both financially and professionally the quality of work that's being done by the people in this district, in the classroom, on the ground. I have enormous respect for what you do. You do matter, and believe me, what I do, I hope, in the long term, reflects that passion for you and what you do.
Thank you. And now, Ramona, it's your opportunity to tell us how you enjoyed this meeting.
It's a great honor to be up here and to speak to you guys and everybody that's up with me tonight. This meeting has been absolutely wonderful to know that this is what's going on with our school district and everything that I need to know as a student, that I can also help out. And just, I'm speechless right now, like, sorry. But like, I want to help out with our community and I want to help out with our district. So it is a great honor to be here tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Okay, before the attorney, I have a couple of things that I would like to mention. First of all, I already said thank you to everyone that took the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us tonight, and tell your friends to come and to see or to watch us, to see what we're doing with education in Lee County. The Black History, I do want to thank a friend of mine. This is an official Zulu hat from Africa that I was lent along with the bracelets to represent my African heritage, and thank you again to all of you. I also want to mention that I went to Tallahassee with our lobbyist, Carol Green, last week, and I had the opportunity, actually very blessed, had an opportunity to meet with all of our local legislators except for one. I also met the Secretary of Education, and I had an opportunity to talk with the Chancellor of Education as well. Our initiatives for the legislature actually all deal with teachers in the sense, we talked about our Grow Your Own bill, and while we were there, we got word that the bill had been, it is being sponsored by Representative Benaquisto and Roach. And while we were there, it had been filed. It hadn't been given a number yet, but it's in the process. And the other local legislators that I spoke to said that they definitely would help to sponsor our bill. So that is a good thing. I also talked to them about the general knowledge, which is another initiative that we have, and the general knowledge testing and how it does hurt our teachers, and that we have teachers that will work for 2 years and be exceeding and exceptional teachers, and then they end up taking the test and can't pass it for whatever reason, and then we have to lose them. And that's something we really can't do, is lose teachers at this time. It is has been stated as well that it affects a lot more our minority teachers in passing the test. And the fact I mentioned to them that a personal example, a friend of mine spent upwards of $2,000 retaking and retaking the test. And when I was speaking with Representative Donalds, he had brought up the fact about trying to get it so that if you have to retake, that you're only going to pay for the part that you have to take. So that's in the works to be talked about. The other thing that I talked about was VAM scores and how when the governor was here, I asked him about that and how they were going to look at VAM scores in relationship to getting rid of Common Core, because in a lot of ways it's unfair. Our teachers that want to teach our level 1s and 2s and can't, and they have learning gains, but they don't move to the next bucket, and they are labeled as an ineffective teacher. And it was interesting when I mentioned that to some of the legislators, and I said VAM scores, and they kind of looked at me cross-eyed. So I explained it as buckets and moving from bucket to bucket, and they got it. And so that's really good. It goes back to being able to explain things so people understand them, so we can get the help that we need. The other thing I wanted to say is, for a public record, I have requested an itemized project list that was sent to parents prior to the election, along with their school grades, and I'm requesting that information, a breakout of the times and dates of those items that were listed, and I would like to have it by the end of the week. I just want to have it on public record. The other thing, this afternoon in the briefing, we talked about FSBA training, and we did receive an email this afternoon. I think all the board members had received that, and the dates that they gave us were April and possibly even later than that. So I would like to mention that possibly we can go ahead and do the workshop sooner than later on Neola and the board auditor position, and we can discuss this later on, but I just wanted it on record that we will do the professional development training, but rather than put it off if we can't get them here, I'd like to see us continue with the work that we have to do. The attorney, Mr. Dodick, comments.
Just want to clarify the statute, the whistleblower statute. I just want to be on the record stating the right law. 112.3187 is the statute. I wanted to
Acknowledge those of you that came here to salute Black History Month. Salute to you. I'll just, the word justice comes to mind sometimes, and MLK's quote, "The moral arc of the universe bends at the elbow of justice," is one that I'm very fond of. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Dr. Atkins.
Okay, just a couple quick items. One, I wanted to just make sure you were aware that I did send a message out to our parents regarding Parkland and how our schools will be observing that coming up on the 14th. In addition to that, that memo also goes into some of the changes that we have made to improve security district-wide. So I think that was what Mr. Parfit was alluding to earlier in the briefing. That is also posted up on our website as well. I wanted to, I think we're all aware we're going through accreditation this week, and thank everyone for coming out Sunday to the kickoff. I want to recognize Mr. Fred Morgan, who was there in support, and he was the, I think he was the life of the party, so to speak, in his corner over there with the stories he was telling. But again, we appreciate, we had a great number of our community members representing organizations across and businesses across Lee County that came out to support that effort, along with board members and of course staff. So, and then finally, just kind of echoing a comment that Ms. Vaughn made, about site-based decision-making. I was fortunate enough to be a part of a school. Actually, Dr. Santini was the principal out there and that team brought site-based to that school. It made a tremendous improvement in the climate of that school. I learned a lot, and when I got the opportunity to become a principal, I brought site-based decision-making to my school and Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School, and I think it makes a tremendous difference. You don't make a major decision in the school without your leadership team, which is comprised of teachers, providing you input, and you vote as a group. It's not, the principal doesn't make the big decision about, if you want to do something like the discipline plan or block scheduling versus a 7-period day or changes in major curriculum emphasis. All of those things are decisions that teachers not only have input, advisory input, but they literally had a vote in site-based decision-making. And in exchange for that, we were able to get flexibility from the contract in certain items to give teachers additional flexibility that we could use to make, again, more improvements in our schools. So I've been a proponent of that for a long time. And that's all that I have this evening, so thank you.
Dr. Atkins, can I ask you to address we had talked about the process and the fake threats and the arrests and all of that, and just making it public that some people are thinking police go in and just arrest children, but there's a process and there are a lot of people involved with that. Can you just address that since it was brought up?
Yes, I will do that. Whenever we have a threat, we are of the stance that we take every threat very seriously. So we put really extensive manpower toward investigating that threat. Both school staff, our administrative team, our teachers, our support staff, and then also law enforcement. And then typically in an investigation, whenever we find that there's a potential for criminal activity that's taken place, we give our law enforcement the lead, so we give them the leeway to conduct their investigation first, and then we follow behind with our own investigation. From a criminal perspective, that's, again, the jurisdiction of law enforcement, and they make the call relative to the arrest. And again, threats are felonies, and so those are something they take very seriously. And then when that is over with, then we do our investigation, and where we take action is relative to our discipline code. So that would impact the student's status as it relates to the school district. And in the case of a threat, again, it's our policy, and I can't quote it, but Mr. Dodick probably can, the policy number. For what? For threats. But regardless, it's zero tolerance.
It's actually a Florida statute, I'm sorry.
And we have it in our board policy, and so it gives us, zero tolerance. So that is something that it can result in a maximum up to an expulsion. So we take it pretty seriously. And we're trying to get the word out, so thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to again, address the public, and we encourage our parents and our guardians, please work with your kids. This is serious stuff. It takes away significant time, not only to investigate that, but it pushes fear out into our organization. Our kids stay home, and that has academic impact, of course. Finally, I do want to address something that came up that Madam Chair brought up in our briefing, and that is she'd asked a question about FTE, and we are monitoring that. We do have FTE. That third quarter is the first week of February, which is when these incidents occurred. However, one good thing about when you're looking at FTE, it takes place over a number of days, so I think 6 days prior and then a few days afterwards. So if a kid is in attendance one of those days, they're counted. But again, we are monitoring to see, did that impact us? And if it did impact us, there is an appeal process to the state.
Okay, thank you. And just for those that may not know, that when we have the count in the fall and then in February, and it does directly impact our FTE count, which means how much money we get. So if there's no other comments, our next meeting is on Tuesday, February 26th, There'll be a board briefing meeting at 2 and a regular meeting at 6. At this point, having no other business to come before this body, before I entertain a motion, we will have our Plus Delta meeting, which is where we talk about how well we did or how well we didn't do. And that will be open to the public in room D, and it's a very short meeting after, and you're welcome to join us back there. Thank you to everyone for coming. May I have a motion to?
Second.
Okay. Okay, I guess they're ready to start. Please vote. You logged out. Give us 1 second.
Yeah, it kind of does, but at one point it was